Right, I think we can begin now. I see we're live on YouTube. So, dear Chairman Baibars, dear High Commissioners, maybe we can mute the person who's speaking. The remote mute, perfect, thank you very much. So, let's restart. Dear Chairman Baibars, dear WBAF High Commissioners, Senators, international partners, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends from around the world. I wish you a very good afternoon, a very good morning for those of you joining from America, and a good evening or late good evening for those joining us from Asia Pacific and from Australia. My name's Kevin Hin. I'm the World Business Angels Investment Forum Senator from Monaco, and I'm also the Secretary General of the Junior Chamber International, JCI, which is one of the leading global networks of enterprising young leaders around the world. And we're very happy to be partnered with the World Business Angels Forum. I'm honored to be your MC today at this chairman's reception. And without any further ado, I would like to pass the floor to the Executive Chairman of the World Business Angels Investment Forum from Turkey, Mr. Baybars Altuntaş.
Thank you, Kevin, and thanks so much for your support. And I'm thanking so much to your global efforts to ease access to finance for young entrepreneurs as the Secretary General of JCI. And it is a great pleasure for me, of course, to become the 8th global ambassador of JCI after His Excellency Ban Ki-moon. Thank you, Kevin. Dear friends, we are.
I can't hear him.
Do you hear me? I think you hear me.
Now we can, yes, thank you.
Great, okay. We are here because we have around 75 new high commissioners, senators, and international partners who have recently joined WBIF. I am thanking so much to all of them for their efforts and for their dedication to empower the world economy through entrepreneurship, innovation, and scale-up economy. I don't want to go into details of the WBAF because we are all from the same community and we know what WBAF is, but I just want to highlight 3 important missions of WBIF. The first one is promoting gender equality. The second one is easing access to finance for entrepreneurs and investors. And the third one is increasing financial inclusion globally. And in order to execute these missions and to convert these missions, these dreams to reality, we are making global cooperations. One of them is G20, and we are the one of the global partners of Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion of G20. I have very good news. Last week on Thursday and Friday, we completed the General Assembly meeting of the Global Partnership for Lucy, can you mute please? Just a second. I did. And last week we completed GFFI General Assembly, and GPFI administration under the Saudi Arabia presidency decided to circulate the WBIF policy recommendations for G20 leadership for post-pandemic economic times. After it is circulated, I will forward it to all of you, and then after we and you study more about these recommendations, then we will make another press conference to promote it globally. I want to share my screen now, and I want to take your attention to something new at WBIF. We have decided to establish the WBIF Economic Development Board. I want to make a very short and very quick presentation of this board to you, and I will invite all of you to start considering how you can involve yourself in this new initiative. We have developed a brand new cluster framework of the forum to empower world economies through global collaborations and open innovation. We are now, 253 the people in 96 countries, and we have 30 high commissioners, 119 senators, 57 international partners, 47 faculty members, plus 7 country offices, and in each country office 1 to 3 people are working for the country office. What we are going to do here is very simple. We have now seven departments of economic empowerment: Global Startup Committee, Global Women Leaders Committee, Global Science, Technology and Innovation Committee, Ethical Governance, Standards of Excellence and Quality Leadership Committee, Business School, Angel Investment Fund, and country offices. These are working very well. Each of them has its own president and its own secretary general. And to tell you the truth, I think the winner of COVID times is not only Zoom. WBF is also became one of the winners of these COVID times, because all these committees really established their own mission. We could find time to produce more for all these departments. So these departments are working very well now. So now it will be good to invite our high commissioners, senators, international partners to establish economic development commissions in an area, in a topic they like. Of course, they like means which is compatible with their professional background. So we are going to have economic development commissions, its own board, its own president, vice president, secretary general, and board members. And these economic commissions will come together and will form economic clusters, sectorial clusters. And these sectorial cluster presidents will become automatically the board member of the Economic Development Board. So in that case, these 7 institutions of WBIF will interact with these economic clusters and economic development commissions. Let's say you established a travel agents economic development commission. This means this travel agents economic development commission can produce more value if they interact with Global Startup Committee, Global Women Leaders Committee, Business School, Ethical Governance Committee, Angel Fund, and country offices. So this is going to, we believe, develop accelerate the execution of our mission, and we think our members will benefit more after setting up these economic development commissions. Each High Commissioner, Senator, or international partner will be able to propose an economic development commission. Each commission will have one president, two vice presidents, one secretary general, one board member, and members. And then a minimum 5 economic development commissions are active in the same field. A WBAF economic cluster will be established. All economic commission members will be allowed to vote to select the following: president of the economic cluster, vice president of the economic cluster, secretary general of the economic cluster, and board member of the economic cluster. And president of each economic cluster will automatically become a board member of the WBAF Economic Development Board. So, for example, Travel Agents Economic Development Commission, Hotels and Lodging Industry Economic Development Commission, Airlines Economic Development Commission, Congress Development, Holiday Village, they will come together and they will come together under the Travel and Tourism Industry cluster. And the president of this cluster will become the Economic Development Board. So topics are endless. If you are finding a value to establish an economic commission, you are going to propose these to the board, and after we approve the mission, because when you propose, of course you should also propose the intended goal and mission of the commission. After getting a task force appointment from the WBAF board, you will be able to start promoting the Economic Development Commission idea in your network and on your social media, and then propose 4 founder board members. But all these 4 founder board members will come from outside of the WBAF community and will share the same values and mindsets and must have an entrepreneurial or professional background. After the board members are approved by the WBAF, they will be invited to complete an application form to become a senator or international partner. After they are announced as the senator and international partner, then the Economic Development Commission will officially be established. And the president of the Economic Development Commission will be provided a WBAF email account, a business card template, and the link for accepting new members to the commission. So anyone who is applying to become the member of the commission will complete an online form, and this form will directly come to the Economic Development Commission secretary. Principles are simple. We can talk about them later. And any international partner who achieves establishing an Economic Development Commission will automatically be upgraded to a senator position. And we are going to make 12 months for them to complete their formation, and 12 months later they are going to make their own elections, and they are going to elect their own board members, president, etc. So we have now very active global startup committee. President of the committee is Inderjit Zink. Professor Zink is one of the first founders of a unicorn many years ago. He has been a Singapore parliament member for the last 20 years, and he's not a Singaporean parliament member now, but he is chairing one of the biggest universities of Asia on technology, Nanyang Technological University's corporate venture company. Secretary General of this committee is Ingrid Vasiliou-Veltes. She is in the innovation industry. She is the innovation director of a healthcare company in the States. However, Inderjit Singh is going to make a short speech to you and will introduce himself and the mission statement in his speech after the keynote speech. Global Women Leaders Committee's president is Swati Mandela. She is also a very successful entrepreneur in South Africa, and she is a granddaughter of Nelson Mandela. Dear Malek is the Secretary General of the committee, and she owns a consulting company in Morocco. As you know, Global Women Leaders Committee completed their 4 successful webinars, and they are going to make more webinars in the coming months. By the way, tomorrow, Global Startup Committee is going to organize a global press conference on the surveys, key findings they made in 81 countries. Ethical Governance, Standards of Excellence and Quality Leadership Committee is chaired by Fadi Saab. He is the president of Trans Capital Finance and senior advisors of World SME Forum. He will introduce the committee's mission in his speech and invite you to join this new committee. We don't have a Secretary General yet. He will talk about it very shortly. We have business school. We have a great business school, as a matter of fact. Dr. Donay, chairman of the ICT, TMT, Venture Capital and Renewable Energy, is chairing. He is the rector of the business school. He is the first name who brought corporate venture capital concepts in the real sense to Turkey. He was the chief executive officer of Turk Telecom until December. So now he is the rector of the business school. Business school will start its online programs very shortly. We are planning to make QBAC Plus, the Global Business Mentorship Program, etc., online starting from September. Our Secretary General is Fabrice Testa, co-chair of Luxembourg Space Tech Angels, and he is now the Secretary General of Business School, and he will run also the WBAF Business Schools global business mentorship programs. We have now an angel investment fund which is very active. Dear Israel Pons, who is the honorary president of the Latin America and the Caribbean Angel Investors Federation, is chairing. Christina McJimsey, she is the Secretary General, and she is, she's also the Secretary General of the WBF, and she is also the Secretary General of the fund. We are going to make a public announcement very shortly about what happened after we established the Angel Investment Fund. We have, 20 investors, and we have around 30 investors in the waiting list who want to put money to the fund. Just a quick reminder, we hosted the global fundraising stage in Istanbul last February, on 17th of February. And we selected these 100 startups from around 3,000 applicants from all over the world. And 100 startups from 42 countries made their pitchings. In the same day, in the closing session, dear Israel and his great team, Executive Investment Committee of the fund, announced 13 startup ventures for due diligence. From these 13 startup ventures, after we started the due diligence process, in the first pre-due diligence process, we decided to go ahead with 5 startup ventures. And from these 5 startup ventures, until now, 1 startup venture from Spain proposed a very good co-investor with us, for us, and we are now approaching to deal closing part of this investment. And I think this will be a good start for the fund. And by time, our aim is to create our own portfolio. And of course, we were aiming to invest minimum 5 investments after the global fundraising stage. But starting with 1 is also fine. We are going to make a meeting with co-investors for next steps very shortly. And even we didn't make 5 investments, we are going to transfer our investment money to next global fundraising stage next year, and then we will focus on new supporting new startups. So, however, Israel is going to tell more about it. And we have country offices, as I told you. I am dealing with country offices, so I am also the president of the country offices cluster. We have 7 country offices now in Croatia, in Sudan, in Ghana, Bahrain, Tanzania, Nigeria, and Croatia. So Mariam Najafi is the Secretary General of Country Offices. She completed the first audit of Croatia country office by flying to immediately after our Congress, I think after or before, but before COVID times, and she completed it, and then she also delivered a very good country office education in Ghana to Ghana country office. This is the report, the policy recommendations for G20 leadership, which will be circulated to member countries by Saudi Arabia presidency. It was, as you see, accepted last week, 25 and 26 June. I will forward the report to you after it is officially circulated. The other report is the report that will be announced in August, sorry, by Saudi Arabia presidency, because Saudi Arabia presidency proposed digital financial inclusion for youth, women, and SMEs as the main topic for GPFI this year. So this report is brought very good policy recommendations proposed by member countries to increase the digital financial inclusion for youth, women, and SMEs. Next year, you know, G20 the president will be Italy, and I am going to bring to the attention of WBAF board that I think it will be good to establish our G20 working groups from now, because we have 1 year to the next G20 meetings, and one working group can focus on how we can improve this digital financial inclusion issue for youth, and other group can work for women, and other group can work for SMEs. And I think it will be good to cooperate with our partners to improve these recommendations. For example, WBAF's G20 working group for youth can cooperate with JCI, and we can set up a joint working group and prepare an excellent report for G20 presidency. For global women issues, then why not cooperate, for example, with the World Entrepreneurs Federation based for women based in France. And you know, Madame Ogli is also vice president of our committee. we can cooperate with them. For SMEs, why not to cooperate with SME Finance Forum of the World Bank Group? We have an MOU, by the way, we have an agreement with them. And maybe in that case, WBIF and other third parties will be able to create more values by coming together and make some brainstorming about specific issues. So tomorrow, please note that we have a press conference, and until now we have 62 registered from around 30 countries, by the way, 62 journalists who will follow up the conference. Among these journalists, we have Financial Times, we have also took the confirmation of Bloomberg Brazil, CNN Greece, Anadolu Agency of Turkey. So they are going to follow the conference. We are going to put all documents tomorrow to our website, and immediately after the conference, everybody will be able to download the opinion statement of WBF about the key findings of the survey. And by the way, we have 62 journals who confirmed, but we have until now 360 registrations as participants to follow the conference. If you have not completed your registration, please complete it because there will be a Q&A session also. If we have time, we will be able to answer the Q&A in the Q&A sessions questions coming from you. So I am thanking so much for listening to me, and I am now I think going to leave the floor to Her Excellency Professor Amina Fakim Guri. She is the 6th president of Mauritius. Because I have just completed her book, I also know that she is the Grand Commander of Star and Key. I love this title very much, Madam President. This is the highest title of Mauritius presented to her when she became the president of Mauritius. I want to make a few comments and then leave the floor to Kevin, because Kevin is going to present your biography before your keynote starts, Madam President. I'm thanking you so much, by the way, for your keynote, and also accepting the role of High Commissionership for Mauritius. Madam President, I read your book, and I want to make a 140 characters message about your book. You are a scientist, you are a mother, you are a woman leader, and you are also a professor, lecturer in the academic world. So if I would be invited to make a film of this book, I would brand the film as large spectrum antibiotic. So you are really deserving. You deserved all the awards that you tell in your book, but unfortunately, I saw at the end of the book that because you couldn't achieve becoming a politician, you could achieve becoming a scientist, a mother, a lecturer, everything, but you couldn't achieve becoming a politician, Madam President. So I think the world needs more unpolitical people at the policy level. I'm thanking you so much for your efforts to change the world. And I also enjoyed very much about the chapters that how you have you converted SDG, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, proposed by Ban Ki-moon, to a government policy to develop the economy of the country. I think it is also a very good idea as a sample to many countries. This can be shown. This is what I told Kevin yesterday, that maybe His Excellency Ban Ki-moon can show your efforts as a good sample to use SDG goals as a government program in many countries, because I saw in your book that Mauritius benefited very much from this approach. I am thanking so much again for your engagement with WBAF mission, Madam President, and I am leaving the floor to dear Kevin to introduce you.
Well, thank you very much, Executive Chairman Baibars. And first of all, thanks again for the update on all the activities of WBAF and all the very exciting projects which are coming up. I see that since our Congress in Istanbul, we've kept ourselves very busy with online webinars and bridging the gap. So thank you for that. And I would like, as you mentioned, I'd like to make a brief introduction to our keynote speaker, Her Excellency Professor Amina Gurib-Fakim, who served as the first female president of the Republic of Mauritius from 2015 to 2018. I am very proud to actually come from Mauritius myself, since my parents were born there, and I'm very happy to see such a talented lady who is the head of state of one of my countries for the last few years. So Professor Amina completed her PhD in organic chemistry at Exeter University in the UK before returning to Mauritius in 1987. In Mauritius, Professor Gurib-Fakim taught organic chemistry at the University of Mauritius, where she also served as Dean of the Faculty of Science and Pro-Vice Chancellor. In 2009, she opened a research center devoted to studying the medical and nutritious effects of plant life in Mauritius, where she is still the managing director. She served as the chairperson for the International Council for Scientific Union Regional Office for Africa from 2011 to 2014. In 2019, Professor Gurib-Fakim also served as a keynote speaker of Cambridge University's conference, Africa Together, Which Way Forward? She is a fantastic ambassador, as Chairman Baibars mentioned, for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are something which we are also promoting strongly at JCI. And she used them as a roadmap for the development of the Republic of Mauritius. As Chairman Baibars said, this is a fantastic benchmark for the future, so that we can actually develop the world in a more effective manner and responsible manner, especially in the face of a COVID-19 pandemic, ahead of 2030, where we should really achieve these goals. For her efforts as a scientist, Professor Gurib-Fakim has been recognized worldwide, receiving the L'Oréal UNESCO Award for Women in Science, laureate for the National and Economic Council, and the African Union Award for Women in Science. Most importantly, from our context, Professor Amina is the World Business Angels Investment Forum High Commissioner for Mauritius. So I would like to now leave the floor to Her Excellency Professor Amina Gurib-Fakim for her keynote speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for this introduction, and also thanks, Babar, for associating me with this very important event, because I think today we are welcoming new senators, ambassadors, who are all very keen to join the WBAF family. So it is indeed a great privilege to be addressing you today, and also to be welcoming you to this great family of ours. So we'd like to welcome this new cohort of senators and high commissioners that Babar has managed to bring together with a common purpose: to promote the laudable objectives of WBAF And right now we've had an expose from Baybars to tell us how tomorrow we'll be doing the press conference. And of course, how we're going to move forward in restructuring and further restructuring. And of course, we get it right so as to promote this fantastic notion of entrepreneurship. So, ladies and gentlemen, as in case you're not aware, I just reassure you that WBF is an amazing forum. It's an amazing family. And it is fast establishing a network of like-minded professionals with a vision to promote entrepreneurship and establish global cooperation and collaboration. So the ultimate aim is to empower and promote economic development through innovative financial instruments for startups, scale-ups, innovators, entrepreneurs, and small, medium enterprises. It is interesting to note that in a little more than a decade, formal angel investing organizations have shifted from being mostly a US and European phenomenon to being active and visible across the world. What is impressive is how these are enjoying success in a challenging environment, in as much as many are doing so with no guidance or best practices to follow. It is clear that globalization and the fast pace of technology have resulted in important new trends in angel investing. The internet and the networking platforms are helping international angels connect in new ways and overcome a host of obstacles. Entrepreneurs around the world often face funding gaps between what friends and families can offer and what banks, venture capital, and private equity firms are willing to contribute. To grow rapidly, entrepreneurs may need an injection of capital, but banks have little appetite to lend to high-risk businesses with insufficient cash flows. VCs and private equity firms, which may not exist in some countries, usually do not invest less than $1 million, a sum that may be too much for a seed stage startup. This gap in funding between what friends and family can provide and what venture capitals and private equity firms are willing to invest is often referred to as the valley of death. And it can be nearly impossible to traverse without the help of angel and angel groups. And when we talk about valley of death, this is something that in Africa we really have to address, because we increasingly come across what I refer to as stagnant technologies, where a lot of research work gets done and they end up in drawers and they do not get out there because they fail in the valley of death and they die there. So in countries that lack VCs and private equity firms, angel groups fill the void by supplying additional rounds of funding to growing companies. Ladies and gentlemen, angel investors are typically experienced professionals who can offer wisdom and guidance to the entrepreneur and have the patience to wait for normal company maturation. Research shows that entrepreneurs value the expertise and mentorship that angels provide as much as, if not more than, the financing itself. Angels can facilitate new business connections that help startups grow, and they can offer insights based on deep knowledge of an industry. They provide support and motivation to entrepreneurs to persevere when launching and growing a business, inevitably becoming very challenging. We all realize now new businesses are an important engine for job creation. Again, I have a special thought for the African continent. Why African continent is the youngest continent on this planet. And it is here, precisely in Africa, that we will need to see more venture capitalists investing, more angel funding, more mentoring, so that these young people become job creators and not just job seekers. And angels play a significant role in helping new businesses get off the ground. And research in the United States indicates that startups funded by angel investors provide on average 5 jobs per angel investment. So unfortunately, the developing world has a much lower rate of business startup creation and growth. And in sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East and North Africa, business registrations are 15% less per capita than in high-income countries. However, the potential development impact of a more dynamic business startup market would be extraordinary. If the developing world could develop better local ecosystems with soft infrastructure financing and advice that encourage and allow entrepreneurs to start and grow businesses, new innovative firms could create millions of new jobs each year. And as we are emerging from the COVID-19, we have seen how many jobs are going to be destroyed, but we also see green shoots arising. And I think this is where we need to nurture these ideas. And this is where we need to really start investing and get these friends and get all this family to come with a paycheck and help these young people start off. So I think this is where WBF comes in. And this is where you and all of us come in. Because with WBF, what Bebas has rightly said, we are trying to promote this ecosystem that will help this entrepreneur, give them mentorship. And sometimes the mentorship, as I've just mentioned, is much more important than financing itself. It can prevent you doing the same mistakes that we had done when we started, because at some point I was also an entrepreneur between my academic world and of course the world of politics. So I have a few knocks and I can share some of my experiences as a budding entrepreneur at some point. So we all want to actively promote this enabling environment so as to encourage networking, capacity building through a suite of inclusive measures. So before I close, I would like to just welcome you all to this great family, which Bebas has started, almost single-handedly. And I think we have to really say a big cheer to Bebas for being so, as we say in French, à cheval, on driving this family so as to develop precisely a better and more enabling environment to help our young people. So let us keep on increasing the network and create a larger and more vibrant family of entrepreneurs. I have no doubt that it is these kind of initiatives that more jobs will be created. So I have a special thought again for my continent, because that, as I said, will remain for a long time the youngest continent and where the needs will be highest. And if you manage to shape it and provide the right ecosystem and of course the right mentorship, we can be a supplier of human capital. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Amina, for your inspiring words. And indeed, I liked the way you defined WBAF as a family, because that's really the vibe which Chairman Bebas has brought, and we all get together as a global team, and we are doing great things, which is why I think it's a great way to see our family get bigger and bigger. On this note, I would like to pass the floor now for welcome speeches to the different parents in the family, like the heads of the different committees. And we will begin with the rector of the WBAF Business School, Dr. Paul Doney, for his welcome speech.
Thank you very much. Definitely, I would like to start from the end part by thanking Professor Amina, to me as a reference point, ex-president, Her Excellency, for a very good introduction into WBF, coming from looking from a needy part of the world that has a special need, which is now aggravated by this period, and then back to Bebas Bey, who actually created, as he explained to you in the beginning part of it, he actually created a platform, which I believe platform is a unique opportunity for people to expand the value of what they're capable to giving to, because this is a giving platform. It's a platform that you're able to give more to get more done. And that's basically how I see this thing going forward. And in that sense, welcoming the new members and senators and high commissioners into this new family, coming from the business school side. The business school is basically a vision that Bebas Bey shared with me from his idea of it, when he was developing the idea of it, and he had already, frankly, done a lot of very impressive certification aspects leading to angel investment. It means that people were able to get a direct benefit relating to improving themselves as either a participant or a recipient. In other words, how you can sell your story, or if you are an investor, what are the things you should be looking for. So he already had something going, which I felt was, frankly, sufficient. And then he wanted to establish something a little bit more elaborate. And with time, the idea turned into execution after the Istanbul event this year in February, in which a large membership of faculty members were announced into a business school, which became a reality. And this reality of the business school will start to provide online courses as of around September timeframe, as he indicated. And again, we can say benefiting from the coronavirus pandemic that has hit the world, which in reality, the effect of this pandemic is going to be quite material in relation to, let's call the subject of education in general, let alone institutional training, as this one is. And as we focus on build-ups and scale-ups, and in the end, SMEs is a very important part of the economy of countries, we just added one small dimension, which is the business transformation of existing companies that are not capable of transforming itself. So it is an innovation. So the startups are the sort of, when we say build up, you're basically dealing with startups, and that is kind of like the angel investment stage. And then you've got the scale ups, which are generally easier to finance, because then you have a lot more choices, as Professor Amina indicated, because you have, for example, venture capital funds and so on. And then you've got even to the next level of transformation of existing companies where they actually have money, but they don't know what to do. And there you need to have some incentive structures. And here the business school is trying to cater to all of this and have some element that basically says, in a way, whoever you are, this business school can add some value to you, whether you're able to help others or you are coming here because you need help, meaning you are basically a recipient of training or you are a provider of training. And it goes from the angel stage to all the levels, to include even the largest companies in the world that they know very well they cannot keep on doing the next 5 years what they have been doing in the previous X years. And this, in the end, is transformational. And by the way, as you notice, all of these things are very critical to the future of all economies, because the economies of the world need startups, because that's where around 20% of jobs are coming. And that is not a small number. And SMEs is even a larger number. And that's why when we get away, unfortunately, from the hype of investments, which would be this forum stays very well far away from it, is the hype of the big unicorns and all that stuff that says, look at us and look at what we're doing. They're doing what they're doing, and this is not part of building the future, because building the future starts very, very small, as Professor Amina indicated, and that comes from money, either your own money, your friends and family money, and here we need to touch that human element. This is a platform. If you've started something in a small country, for example, you can come to a platform of this, you'll meet somebody in another country who is doing maybe something similar to that. You can benefit from each other, you can learn from each other, and maybe one day you can contribute also to each other. It is at that scale. It's a human scale, it's heavily impactful, and the role of all members of this at various levels of presidents and commissioners and senators and so on, everybody in the capacity that they're in the end, you are in a confined geography. You are where you are. And your links relate to, unfortunately, where you are. That's the reality. When you enter into a forum like this, you automatically find new family members, people that relate to what you're doing and can help you without getting something in return, okay? And this is so key to the human connection that people build up to create things, you see? A lot of the things that angel investors do, by definition, is not done and driven by greed for a high return. It cannot be, you see? And that is why this is a forum of good people, of honest people with no hype, want to do real things. Thanks to you all. And this is the statement from my side, Business School. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Doni, for these great remarks. I would now like to hand the floor to the president of the WBAF Angel Investment Fund, all the way across the Atlantic from Mexico, Israel Ponce.
Hola, and hello from Mexico to all of you. It's a great pleasure to now address you. I know most of you, and I got to know some of you now online. And I have the honor of being the president of the Angel Investment Fund and lead a great team of investors, angel investors, all of them qualified with a great portfolio on their investments already. I would like to start by mentioning to you the importance of having angel investment made as opposed to having the angel investment created. Angel investment made is the execution of actually investing money into a project, into entrepreneurs that have proven themselves to become the next leaders within their community, within their nation, and worldwide. Angel investment is not easy to make. The decisions that an angel investor takes to make an investment is not to give free money. Of course not. That will be the wrong assumption to be made. But it is to support the growth of projects that are led by these human beings that have contact with other human beings who really want to change the world. So angel investment is normally done by those individuals who are looking to also change the world and make it better. What does the Angel Investment Fund does, and why was it created? Why would you think WBAF saw the need of creating an Angel Investment Fund? Precisely to accelerate the creation of new angel investors worldwide, to integrate angel investment from developed economies or countries where there is a lot of history and experience on investing, to come and get together with new angel investors from other economy and emerging countries to help them the process of analyzing projects, the structure of investing, and then the follow-on to the investment. So the fund is not just a standard fund that you see in financial terms. The fund has its first vision, which is human connection. Its second vision is attract entrepreneurs from all over the world. Its third commission is let's bring angel investors from all over the world and create a community under a fund. The fund itself, as you have heard from our dear Chairman Babers, has had the opportunity of looking at more than 3,000 startups last year. 3,000 startups, I repeat. Of those, 100 were chosen to present at our last conference or global conference in Istanbul. All the committee members had the opportunity and the job to sit in front of these 100 startups, listening them during 3 minutes, to then choose the 13 startups that were going to go on to a due diligence. Of those, 5 projects were chosen, and 1 is now in the final steps of being invested into. So I come back to the first number, 3,000 startups, and we are on 1 that we're going to invest. What does that mean for all of you? Is we have to be able to help create better startups, better projects, but above all, better entrepreneurs with business models and impacts that are actually able to gain investment. So my challenge to you is, in whichever country you're in, whatever organization you represent, is your obligation, because this organization is called World Business Angel Forum, is your obligation to please present us to other future angel investors or persons who want to become angel investors, so we can help them to become members of the fund and create an impact. What are we looking also from you is to bring us startups from your country to apply for investment with us, to apply to come and pitch at the world stage in Istanbul. All the other benefits that they get, how to do networking, how to do, I think somebody's sharing the screen, how to do, how to create this networking, how to come in front of other angel investors is very important for startups all over the world. So you are here for one reason only, and that's to impact on your ecosystem in whichever way is possible. But at the end of it, what we're saying is we are ready to invest in the projects that are coming from your community. We are ready to welcome future investors from your community. If you have a difficulty with investors to gain credibility, of course, everybody questions why and who should invest. Bring them to us. We present them to angel investors from all over the world in the fund that will help them take the decision to invest. We are now in a world connected globally through these sort of tools. We are ready to co-invest globally. We are looking for you to help us. Bring angel investors. The challenges with COVID-19 are for all the startups, liquidity, challenges of how to bring other new investors are there. We are ready to help. We will want to see the best startups in Istanbul 2021 and get ready to invest. And also, we are prepared to co-invest with angel investors from all over the world. So coming back to where we want to be, we want to have more startups receiving our investment than just 5. So the quality of the startups is in your hands from your countries. Please help them. Please help create a bigger impact, and we will be ready to invest. And I will leave you with this phrase that I always use, and I think is very important. Angel investment is about human values and transparency, not just about money. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President Israel, for these inspirational words. Indeed, up to us all to spread the message to future startups about how we can help them. And WBAF is a fantastic way to do that. And that's a great transition to our next speaker, who is the president of the WBAF Global Startup Committee, all the way from Singapore, Professor Inderjit Singh. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And I want to welcome all the new High Commissioners and Senators to this group. As we have heard from the other speakers, this is a great platform for us to connect and learn from each other from around the world. I myself have started a number of companies. I also have been involved in policy making. I've invested in companies too. And I've seen, all the whole spectrum of the ecosystem that we need to create successful startups and to help create successful companies. And so our committee, which is part of the WBAF, is focusing on what we can do to help create good ecosystems around the world. And if, let's say, we can learn from the ecosystem that have worked very well, that have supported many startup activities and successful companies, we hope that we can replicate this in many parts of the world so that we can play our part in helping create companies which we think, will create jobs and also, social mobility and also improve lives. And so we will focus on building ecosystem in the regions, but also to connect the ecosystems, because all of us in different parts of the world, at the end of the day, when we talk about startups, it is a common language. The biggest problem for most startups has always been the access to finance, which is how we connect to the rest of the groups in the WBAF. where we can, hopefully make it easier. In 2013, I actually delivered an address at the United Nations to talk about sustainable development through entrepreneurship. And I shared the Singapore experience. And what amazed me was that every country that is embarking on the startup entrepreneurship journey are facing similar issues, whether it is in Africa or Australia, US or Singapore. We are talking almost the same language. So the WBF is a real good platform for us to talk in a common language that can help solve the problems that many of our startups face. Now, as we were working on this journey to focus on building ecosystem and connecting ecosystem, COVID hit us. And so our committee decided to engage on a global survey. And Baibars mentioned just now about a survey where we had respondents from 81 countries, and we're going to present the survey findings in a press conference tomorrow. And there are many interesting outcomes of the survey results which we'll share, which also align with some of the findings that we have seen from many of the other surveys done around the world, whether these are some of the big consultancy company or World Bank and different areas that have pointed to a few common themes that our startups are facing today. The biggest problem that our startups are telling us through the survey is that many of them are going to run out of money in about 6 months. And they need an urgent help to go and solve that problem, how to go and solve the financing problem. I think, I've seen surveys that says that between 50 to 70% of companies and SMEs and startups are going to run out of money within 3 to 6 months. It's a huge problem because, if we cannot have a cohort of startups right now, we're going to have problem creating the future economies and the future jobs. So we want to, so this is one of the findings. And among the outcomes of the survey, the 3 things that we want to do in the startup committee, which we will start off by way of webinars, while while we are separated still around the world. The 3 things that we identified is, first of all, financing. We want to share experiences, get some experts to talk about this, how to extend the runway of financing for startups. Second is a business transformation or pivoting the business models, which is what many of startups are telling us that they are going to have to do in the next few months. And the third one is basically, people are facing resource problem, manpower problems, and legal issues, IP issues, and so on. So we'll have another webinar to talk about this thing. And then we will work together with the business school, which Paul is heading, to have master classes that can then go into depth to work with the startups to solve some of their problems. So I think, for the startup committee, the whole of this year, we are going to be busy in trying to tackle the immediate issues that have been caused by the COVID. We intend to do a follow-up survey at the end of this year. At the end of this year, we'll look at again to see whether have problems been solved and what are the new problems that arise, and we think new problems will arise. And then we will work on solutions that we think hopefully by the time we get together in February next year in Istanbul, we will try to present a paper on all the findings and the things that we can do as a community to help startups around the world. So as you can see, I think the startup committee is going to be quite busy and for the next few months until February next year. And I think this should be sufficient activities for us to support the overall WBF family. And I'm looking forward to working with everyone. Thank you for your attention. And just I'll drop off in a while because it's 12 something in the morning and I have to wake up at 4 in the morning. So I'll just stay for a while and I'll drop off. Thank you. Yes,
thank you so much, Professor Singh, for staying up so late and also for outlining the great initiatives. We especially look forward to seeing the results of the survey tomorrow when they'll be unveiling them to the rest of the world during the press conference. So I really invite everyone present to watch the press conference tomorrow as well. Let's move on next to our to the president of the Global Women Leaders Committee. I would like to pass the floor now to Swati Mandela. Good evening.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much. Apologies, I'm unable to do a video stream, but nevertheless, it's nice to see everyone. Yes, I mean, just as everyone has before me, I'd love to welcome all the new members of our family, of our WBAF family. It's great to see that we're growing so much and so quickly. It tells me that we're obviously doing something right. Baybars in his leadership is doing something right. And I think, essentially, as Baybars mentioned before, our committee is 4 years, but I think what we've been able to achieve, and I think the members we've been able to attract has really been something that is testament of, the work that we're doing. I think the agenda to bridge the gender equality gap is something that is far more critical now, especially in this time of COVID, when the gender gap is probably going to get wider and wider. And how do we as a committee, as well as I think WBAF, ensure that, we support, empower, mentor women even more so now. I'm pleased to, obviously be amongst some, some esteemed women on our board, former president who's had to leave us now, who serves as vice chair, and Dr. Tina, whom I can see is very active on the chat group there, and just so many other wonderful women who serve on our board and who really are there to support. So, essentially our committee welcomes new members. We're always happy to grow. I think ours is really just to provide support, to empower, to mentor and support women. Also just the education of women, of the importance of entrepreneurship, even I think now more so than ever, with so many job losses happening, all across the globe, particularly on our continent, which we're seeing really just kind of a lot of sectors purging jobs, which many women and females are impacted by, which impacts, life for so many people in such a very tragic way. And I think the other big thing is obviously just access to finance and financial inclusion for women. And what does that look like? And I think we've got we've had some fantastic webinars in the last month. We've had great feedback, and we've got a couple more lined up in the next couple of weeks. We will also be, as a committee, sending out our own survey just to understand what's been the impact for women entrepreneurs and startups within the COVID period, and what have some of their struggles been. So, that'll be something that'll be circulated to the members within the next couple of weeks. We will also be hosting a workshop just to sort of create some subcommittees so that we can be a little bit more effective and better serve the members of the committee. So I think we've got some exciting things coming up, and I think more than anything, we as a family, I think, look to ensure that we are standing as a community, and we serve each other, and we bridge that gap between startups, entrepreneurs, and also investing. And I think more than ever now there's going to be a need for mentorship, for empowering, for support in all different kinds of ways. And I think, we have a great pool of wonderful women who are really quite esteemed in their own fields, who can offer that to new members as well as existing ones. So with that said, I'll hand back over to you, Kevin. And again, just welcome to all the high commissioners, senators, and international partners to the WBAF family.
Thank you so much, President Swati, and thank you to you and your team for the great work. And I really enjoyed these webinars which took place over the last few months, and I was honored to moderate one of them, and truly inspirational. And it's great to promote female entrepreneurship and gender equality in the future. I'm very happy that WBAF is at the forefront of promoting female leadership. It's something which is very important. I would like to now hand the floor to our last speaker in terms of welcome speeches, at least, the president of the Ethical Governance, Excellence Standards and Quality Leadership Committee from Lebanon, Fadi Saab.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's great to be the last speaker because everything that is important has already been said by others before me. What's even greater for me is that this is the probably the youngest committee, and therefore we are still in the process of getting things going our way. We will be reaching out to all of you, inviting you to be members of this committee and to participate with us in executing our mission. Let me start by sharing with you something that I learned very early on when I started my career as an investment banker on Wall Street. At the time, of course, the whole jargon of what we use today as startups and scale-ups and angel investors, all of this did not exist. And the investment process was being done on more basic number crunching fundamentals and economic analysis. But what I learned was that it's not that makes the decision. What makes the decision is, more importantly, the trust that one has in the ability of whoever is presenting the investment opportunity to execute it, and the confidence in the team that's behind that venture in executing it properly and in delivering the promised results. So this led us to start by thinking about what we're now calling a circle of trust that englobes WBAF internally in terms of what the committee is proposing for the community of stakeholders and the ecosystem of WBAF, and externally in regards to our dealings with others outside our internal community. Chairman Baibars has kindly requested that I lead this initiative, at least in the launching period. And I was really extremely impressed by the unique DNA that exists at WBAF. And it's a central DNA that basically unites the diverse membership base that comes from different cultures, different countries, different backgrounds, but they're all united around a common vision. And this vision is embedded into an operating culture that sort of governs the whole spectrum of the different activities of WBAF. And that's unique in such a multinational organization as we see at WBAF. And that's probably the main reason for its success. So thank you, Baybars, for this drive. Basically, I've also noticed that the WBAF community, they have really a high dedication to top professional standards of conduct and quality of output, which has led to it being preferentially differentiated from other major global players, and led it to, in such a short period of time, resulting in a successful track record of value-added contributions that have benefited everybody who's involved in this activity. So let me come back to the circle of trust, which really encompasses the three parts of the committee's name, which is ethical governance, standards of excellence, and quality leadership. And we have developed for each one of those three different subtitles, basically if you call a modus operandi operating manual, so to speak. So for ethical governance, we've developed a code of conduct, which most of you or all of you have gotten a chance to see during the last event that took place in February. And it's, I think, posted on our website. The standards of excellence is going to be governed by a list of core values that WBAF believes in, which Chairman Baybars will be disseminating shortly. And quality leadership will be motivated by exceptional behavioral drivers that, again, we will be sharing with everybody in the near future. So this tripod of principles, the three foundations, will be commanding this innovative operating process that is motivating the WBAF community, with the objective of identifying important opportunities for entrepreneurs, investors, startups, and SMEs, of stimulating the intellectual advancement and influencing the educational progress of everybody who's involved in this ecosystem, of facilitating business transformation, especially in the fields of people, processes, and technology, and of assisting and seeking in allocating required resources in order to achieve the intended goals that we have to the general good of people, businesses, communities, and the society at large. So this circle of trust is really going to, as I said, govern the work of this community, this commission, and the WBAF community. The three documents that I've mentioned, the code of conduct, the core values, and the behavioral drivers, will be readily available for each of you to look at, contribute to, adhere to, apply, execute, and disseminate internally within your own country, within your own environment of operating, and externally with the whole stakeholder ecosystem in which you operate. And I believe that if we succeed in doing so, then we will be able to confirm the saying that sometimes the whole is going to be greater than the sum of all of its parts. For all of us as a whole community, we will definitely bring in value added that's way beyond each one of us on our own, because of the important synergies that we'll bring in together. The mission of our community, of our commission, has been summarized into 4 points, which I will read for you. And as I said, there will be an official invitation to everybody to join this commission, so we can start structuring ourselves a bit more in line with other commissions. So we aim at strategically positioning our wide spectrum of tasks to promote the WBAF corporate culture ideologies within the robust circle of trust foundations encompassing individual and communal good conduct, to contribute to enhancing the focal principles of superior code of conduct, core values, and behavior drivers, to support the active engagement of all stakeholders by facilitating access to necessary resources, permitting proper multidimensional adherence, and to encourage universal entrepreneurship ecosystem to endorse these essential standards and adopt a practical path for the successful global implementation. I will not take more of your time. I will sum up by saying that I look forward to closely collaborating with you individually and with your, committees, other committees, and other business development clusters that were announced today by Chairman Baybars. And hopefully I will see you each in person, face-to-face, at the next General Assembly in February in Istanbul. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Fadi, for your great words. And network at WBAF, we are definitely more than the sum of our parts. So thank you for stating that. Now, thank you to all the speakers who took part. Now it's the time for all of us and all of you together to shine. And we're going to give 15-minute session now for everybody to network and to get to know each other in small groups. So what's going to happen is that you're all going to be moved into breakout rooms on Zoom in small groups, and we'll all have 15 minutes to network in these breakout rooms and get to know each other and to know about each other's interests. When these 15 minutes are over, we'll all move back into this main room, and then we'll have a final part of this reception, which is the Who is Who, where all of those present, the new senators and international partners and high commissioners, will be able to briefly introduce each other. Okay, so I think that Chairman Baybars will now move us all into breakout rooms, so we can...
Kevin, can I ask you first, are you going to offer us drinks and snacks when we meet for the cocktail?
I can't wait. I think they'll have to be all virtual snacks, but I think that Chairman Baybars will be able to arrange something. Is that right?
Yes, Vadim. Starbucks for startups.
Right. See you later.
Great, great.
15 minutes.
See you 15 minutes later here. Hello, Roger. Pedro, Antonio.
Hi, hello, bye-bye.
Hello, how are you? Roger, you didn't receive the link?
No, I'm in. I'm in.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I
Hi,
see.
Bibers. I'm not in the room yet.
Babar, just a second. You didn't
All right,
receive
thank
the
you.
link, Babar?
Not yet.
Okay. Now? Okay. Pedro, did you receive the link? Patrick? Pedro?